Now you got my recipe, just tell it to everyone. Sing around that melody, record it on your mobile phone. And I expect for another ring, so don't forget to say my name. Entertainment is not free, so better bit. Say it again. Music, music, music is the answer. It make you groove the best ever. Your move gets better. Music, music, music is the answer. Drop me brother and shout me sister, 'cause music is the answer. Music, music, music is the answer. It makes you groove the best ever. Your move gets better. Music, music, music is the answer. Trust me brother and trust me sister, 'cause music is the answer. 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 Of the music, oh music, music is the answer. Of the music, oh music, music is the answer. Of the music, music, music is the answer. Oh music, 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 music is the answer. Oh music, with music, music is the answer. Of the music, oh music, music is the answer. Music, 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 music is the answer. Everywhere I look around, I see the same faces. Everyone looks to the ground, it seems they have no wishes. If you don't want to surrender and get down in the sorrow, I can make the things better. Sun must shine tomorrow. Music, music, music is the answer. It makes you groove the best ever. Your move gets better. Music, music, music is the answer. Trust me brother and trust me sister, 'cause music is the answer. Now you got my recipe, just tell it to everyone. Sing around that melody, record it on your mobile phone. And I expect for another ring, so don't forget to say my name. Entertainment is not free, so better bit.
And we're live. Hi, how is it going today? How's it going today?
Good and you.
I'm very well. I'm very happy to be here for the May Prismic Meetup.
Do you know how many we did?
Well, many. It has been quite some time. I guess I'm not counting anymore. If we can ask someone there, maybe they will give us the answer. But today is an exclusive one. You know why?
No.
Well, you know very well. So today we're going to talk about a big release that is very important. not only for us but also for our users, and we're going to talk about it. We did a lot of user tests and and researches, and this is big, and we're happy to be here for that. But first, let's get I don't know, some people chatting with us on the chat. I see that there are quite some people around. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining, and especially for today, we have a lot of things to tell you, and we have also Jonathan from our preferred agency today that will tell us about a lot of things about how to to do branding projects and things related to their setup and how they estimate the cost of and everything else. So that should be there should be a lot of useful lessons out there. But let's start with our first question today. The world is changing nowadays, right? We know that AI and GPT and all of that. I'm sure you guys have heard and had a lot of conversations about that in the past few weeks, maybe few months as well. There are many things that are happening that are very exciting. I mean, it's hard not to be excited nowadays. It's hard to keep focus. It's hard to keep doing the things that you want to do. But actually, we want to be also part of that world that is changing. We want to be part of the future. So it's an exciting and challenging time in the same time, right?
It is. Internally at Prismic, we are looking at it in detail and a lot. In all the teams, it's something that basically everyone is exploring. It's kind of hard to keep the focus actually in your work, when you're exploring these kind of things, not being stuck into some kind of loop of trying to fit the tool into your processes and your way to work, and actually finding the relevant way to use it and to talk to it in a sense. When you talk to
it feels to me like in the beginning when you start working with it, it's very impressive. But I like this kind of analogy that I often use. It's like when you see a kid first walking and you're impressed. Wow, the kid is walking. But humans do walk, right? It's like the impressive thing is afterwards, will it be useful for me? Okay, that's a different question, right? It's impressive to see a machine doing certain tasks and creating new things. But now, can it be useful to me? And that's the most important question here. And I believe that that's a question that we need to keep asking ourselves to find, as you said, the relevant parts that are relevant to the task that I'm doing.
Yep.
And one of the things that happened actually recently is, I'm sure a lot of people here experimenting with Midjourney. And if you did, please tell us in the chat about your experimentation with Midjourney and what do you think about Midjourney. I have an account there, and I keep.
What are you doing with it?
A lot of different things. I'm still trying to understand. So my first interaction with AI is try to understand what are the limits, what is it capable of, so that then it provokes idea when I have some tasks and it's oh, maybe I can use it, and then I understand whether or not. So I try to use it. There is a badminton championship that tournament that I'm involved in organizing, and I was okay, what I can do is I can create avatars for everyone in a certain style and then use that for social media, and it's pretty good at doing something like this. You can upload a photo and ask it to restyle the photo in a certain way.
Okay.
So that's cool.
And so you did it in a consistent way for all your team, for example, to have something
here's a good question. Did I do it in a consistent way? Well, I didn't have enough time to be able to get it to do it in a consistent way. You can give it a photo link and you tell it, can you make it in manga style or comic style, and it will actually do it, and it will succeed doing that. But will all the photos be in the same style? I guess you need to be very specific in how you describe your prompt to have some certain consistency. So things related to brand and how you want to have the same kind of style. I think that's harder to figure out, but there are maybe some people are figuring it out. But anyway, please tell us on your what you tried on Midjourney, and whether you got it to be more consistent and to respect certain style or certain brand. But the other thing that is happening as well is Photoshop and their AI, they integrated AI into their process of in Photoshop, normal Photoshop, and I was very impressed with the different examples that I saw on the internet. Now I know how much exaggeration there is in that process, but when I look at the videos, it's extremely impressive.
Yep.
there are things that could take days from me to do, and they go and select an area and say like, throw an object there or something, right? Like I saw like they had a dish and they threw a steak on it, and there is the shadows and everything, and it's so cool.
I saw a few threads on Twitter like expanding, very well-known images. Like you take an album cover and basically you say like expand it so that you imagine what is outside of the scene,
Exactly. They have a photo, and then with Photoshop they select the areas. They're like, okay, expand there, expand down, and actually it works so well.
Yeah.
Like it's these kind of things that it's scary a little bit, because it's like, okay, well, what does it mean? And you see some people like taking themselves and putting themselves in different countries, different clothes, and that's pretty impressive. So in the chat, have you tried the new Photoshop features, and please tell us what you think about it. I mean, I guess one of the biggest challenges for us is like, can we get something like design in there, right?
Yeah.
Because photos, okay, well, it seems to be pretty good at it, and it's getting better and better. But style of websites and design of products, I guess that's a different topic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any comment on the chat? People exploring
Well, I see that. I see Tim saying that Midjourney is fun. New to Photoshop is the next step, though. Yeah, it becomes much more relevant to the tasks that we do, right? Well, for consistency, you need seed number. Okay, I suppose it's something that will keep the consistency there, so you can say like, okay, or always relate to that. I understand, but would like to. I'll try to search for more examples.
What's the term? Seed number?
Yeah, seed number.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like when you generate random numbers, you need a seed number, so they keep it in a certain way.
Okay.
Can we turn the left mic up, please? Okay, you guys can read this.
Which one is the left?
I guess that's the left.
I guess my problem might be that I'm not close enough.
Yeah,
okay.
I talk loudly. Cool. So, and I see that Samuel uses Stable Diffusion. Well, yeah, Stable Diffusion. I didn't use it. I used Midjourney, but if you can share some of your experience about it. But anyway, exciting time with AI and all.
Exciting time for AI and all.
For the whole humanity, I guess. I mean, there's so many things about that.
Frightening and exciting.
Frightening, exciting. This is okay. So we should we move to the announcement that we have today?
Yeah, for sure. I think so. Well, are you excited about the announcement?
Oh yeah. I mean, this is big, right? I mean, I'm very happy that today we are in this moment where we can, move to the next step, right? We've been. It's very important when you have a product like a CMS. There are a lot of tools like this in the market, right? And there are different ways, and I guess there is a lot of complexity in that kind of market. And we say like, okay, we want to simplify things for users, but in that there is simplify and for users, right?
Yeah.
And often what we focus on is the simplify part. We go and we say we want to simplify, but simplify for me, for my concept, for my knowledge, and me as a knowledge, I mean, I'm a developer, I can understand a lot of things, so things that are simple to me might not be simple for everyone else. My experience is different, right? I guess this time it's more the user, simple for our users. And I'm very happy that we worked so closely with our users on this release, and I believe that we got somewhere where we're hitting that nail right on, right? We're into that simplicity that is for our users, not for ourselves anymore.
Exactly, and so it's been a long time that basically we are preparing for this release and working on that. It took a lot in terms of actually organization, but as you said, working with our user base, engaging them in the process of designing it, testing it regularly, basically discover the right product that we should be able to deliver. And so we are getting now to a moment and to a concept and a product that we actually think fits not only what people need, but also is a good reflection of what we want to build in our product, in a sense, like something that is just simple, intuitive, that works, not overly complex, that seems, just the way it should be, basically. And
So yeah, and I thought like, okay, today we're talking about our page builder, right? Which is more or
previously
less
called editor.
previously called editor. And I was thinking like, how do we describe the new page builder? And I wanted to go back and forth, and basically I used GPT as well to try to get inspiration from there. Everyone is doing that. Like, if you have used GPT for inspiration, please tell us. It makes me feel that not alone in that word. But I'm sure everyone is using that for that. So, but anyway, I tried to come up with different things, and I thought like, no, I mean, let's look what our people, like our users, thought about it, because we already made a lot of studies with our users, and they got us quotes about it when they saw it, and I get it, they were so positive and very inspiring that I thought like, okay, this is our base. Let's look at that and see what they think about it. And to sum up everything, is like we're releasing something that is going to make page building much more enjoyable. Like, well, we can say enjoyable alone. We don't need to say more enjoyable, because building pages has never been, I believe, enjoyable for marketing teams. You know, like when you get into a CMS, you feel like you want this thing to end, because you're just copy pasting from another place, and it's this tedious work of like, I don't know, and put the forms and then save and publish, and I hope I'm not breaking something, and that kind of experience. And that's anything but enjoyable. And we believe that we hit it there, and we release something that is making that experience enjoyable. And it's enjoyable for 3 different points. Okay, the first one is it feels like a comfortable place. It feels like it's a familiar place. It's an experience where you get into the tool for the first time. Imagine you've never been into Prismic, and then you're hitting for the first time. It feels like you know the place. It feels like you know how to use it. You know where the tools are. Everything is known to you. That kind of familiar experience. And that familiar experience was one of the points that worked a lot on. So we used and Guy is going to come in here and show us the demo, and I will give some time to for the actual demo. But we used an analogy, a paradigm, actually, that everyone knows about. It's the slide editing. You do edit slideshows. Everyone edits slideshows all the time, and this is the thing that we used as an analogy and paradigm for our interface. So when you get in there, you will edit a page as you would be editing a slideshow, and that's why it feels familiar. And that familiarity is important, because when you're getting into an existing page that you did a long time ago or someone else did, you're right in. You see your page broken into sections as slides, and then you go and click on it, and you go modify, and you see modifications in real time. The changes in real time is another aspect that makes it familiar. But also, we wanted something inspiring, like as in, I go in the tool, and then I see a section, and I want to work on that kind of section, and then I go and change a little bit, and that change, I see what happens, and so like, okay, well, maybe I need to make it shorter, and then I see the result as if you're looking at the slide, and it's like, oh, that's cool. And then I say like, oh, I change the image, I zoom it a little bit. Since you're seeing and everything, all the tooling is there, and you're seeing your edits in real time, it's very visual and makes inspiring. You want to do more, and you can, test variations and other slices, and that's experience. That's very important. And the last point is that it's very productive, right? We wanted to, like, our users wanted that, and they feel that we're also hitting on that is very productive, because when we're writing text, a lot of content editing is like about writing text, but you need this kind of, you have your shortcuts, and you have the tools just around you. You don't have to kind of search for things. So whenever you're writing something, you want to kind of make something bold, you want to extract something, you want to get bullet points, all of that is at your fingertips. So that's a very important aspect. So the way our users will describe that in the interviews, like, okay, well, this is a fresh look at that, and it makes it more enjoyable because, as I said, right, it seems like a familiar place.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very inspiring. Like, I want to do and create more. And the third thing, like, it's productive.
Yeah, and so like it's something that we worked a lot on again, and that basically we are preparing as a release now. I think we can do 2 things now to basically illustrate everything that you said.
I think a demo. We need to get to the demo.
A quick video introducing actually the concept, and then going to a demo.
Cool. Quick video. Let's start with a quick video then.
So yeah, that's the new page builder that we are preparing for release now. Again, it's been a long time that we are working on that, meaning in finding the right people to help us building this tool, but also like actually building it with our users, and finding the relevant people to actually test it, provide feedback to us, and basically enrich it. And on the people that we were looking for in order to build the product, we have Guy that is here with us today. That is the PM of the page builder.
Hello.
So that is with us like since a bit more than a year now.
Yeah, I joined in January of last year.
Okay, and you've been there for our first meetup basically to present also the progress at the time 6 months ago, I guess.
Yeah, I was on the meetup last year we did with Com. I think it was for Christmas,
Yeah.
December of last year.
Exactly. And so Guy is there today basically to be able to guide us through the new version of the page builder and demo everything that Sadek could present had presented just before in not only with words but actually with images. And so it seems that you need to get your mic a bit closer.
Hear me okay?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so let's jump into the demo. So I guess just picking up off what Sadek said, this idea of like familiarity and being able to jump into a page and sort of understand how things work and what you need to do was really important to us. And so we've illustrated that with this concept of the table of slices. So on the left-hand side of the page, well, on my left anyway, you can see all the different slices that compose your page. And obviously, in terms of familiarity as well, you should recognize a lot of the existing elements from within Prismic. So you've still got your version panel, tabs, and then the page editor in the middle as well. Cool. So I guess in terms of familiarity as well, it should be fairly easy to jump in and start working. So if you click on there and add a slice, and immediately you'll see all the slices that are available to you as part of this page. So you can scan there, see all the different variations, click through on the left-hand side as well to go to a specific type of slice. So today, let's go and add just one of these text slices here. Cool, okay. And so if we start adding some content in there, awesome. One of the really cool features as well with the new page builder, something in terms of like enhancing your productivity, is what we call our rich text. And so with this, we have some slash commands that you can use to access all the different formatting things that are available to you as part of the rich text field there. So you can add a paragraph, headings, all that sort of stuff. And then also as part of this, we have our toolbar. And so what you can do is you can basically highlight text, apply some formatting options, all that sort of stuff. So you don't need to go to the top of the page anymore to access formatting options for your rich text or anything like that. So again, trying to help you make things more productive and work better within Prismic. Now, another thing that's really cool about this new page builder, again, really kind of focusing on helping inspire you and kind of think of lots of cool things that you can do with your page, is like changing variations. So maybe if we jump into one of the slices here and look at the change variations, and you can kind of see, yeah, this is something cool that I want on my page. Maybe I want kind of more of like a testimonial with an image of somebody. Cool, there you go. And then one of the last things that we have as part of this new page builder, again, to help inspire you be more creative, experiment with lots of different types of text and images and all that sort of stuff, is the live render. So when you start working in the new page builder, you can get a sense of the changes that you're making to your page in real time. So again, giving you a really good sense of previewing what exactly it is that you're adding to the page, and a sense of what it's going to look like.
So in that case, for example, replacing an image and
Yeah,
seeing in real
replacing
time,
an image,
just
seeing
the
it in
fact
real
that
time.
this
And
is a change.
Yeah, and for example, with some of the slices, you can change themes, change background colors, all that sort of stuff, and you'll see it change right away.
Well, that's fantastic, and I so much want to play more with it, right? And I guess everyone else want to play more with it, and I guess that's so maybe one of the questions is like, when will this be available for people? And I see there are also a lot of also some kind of technical questions. How can I have it for my project? And some people like, how is it possible? You don't have access to my components, so how can you ever be able to put them? I see like let me read one of the comments, okay? That maybe will make more sense. Hey, I love the preview real time on the left, but I have a doubt about how it works. I mean, for slices, we implement slices in our application. So how you can show us the preview on the left exactly? And that's Vinicius de Castro.
Okay.
Thank you, Vinicius, for the comment.
Thanks a lot, Vinicius. So we are going to send all the documentation related to the how you can prepare and basically have this real-time previewing implemented in your project. It's just very simple. It's relying on one component that we've worked on and promoted for some of our users for quite some time. That is called the Slice Simulator. It's basically a piece of software that you introduce in your code base when you use Slice Machine to basically develop locally. The only thing that we do is actually, or at least asking you, is actually to deploy this simulator somewhere on the internet close to your project and provide us a route to access this, so that we can actually contact it and then render this page in real time. And that's how it works.
So normally if you use Slice Machine, this will be very quick, because you already have the simulator and you already developed with Slice Machine. So it should be a part, like some kind of configuration that you have to do in your project, and publishing this endpoint to your production project. So, but
to a preview project if you prefer to, but like,
yeah, and also you can have it staging or preview and whatever, and you can test it locally. And I guess you can, reach out also to us if you have any questions. But the concept is extremely simple, actually. So, there is an endpoint that you publish, and then we will do requests and tell you your project, hey, can you give me this component? And you will give us, and we'll put in an iframe. That's as simple as it is. And that's how we can do that.
Exactly.
So sometimes simple solutions work, right?
Yeah, and so that was one of the things, like as soon as we explored those concepts, and maybe Guy, you want to talk about it, we had to do a few things. Actually understand if people will be willing to do it. The second thing, what is the feasibility and how much can it scale? And so we've basically investigated and researched all of those topics so that we can actually understand if the product that we are building makes sense. But maybe you want to.
Yeah, I mean, we tested a few different iterations, and we've done a few different proof of concepts and things like that to test the feasibility, and also test with our users if this is something that's going to be helpful to them. And through a lot of the testing and stuff that we did, the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. So again, once we were sure of that, again, like technically making sure that it was possible, and
And so we already have ideas on how to improve it, and that's I think one of the very important things is that we know that it was important for you that we actually work on the page builder, not only on these kind of features, but more generally on other items. And the thing is that we wanted to rebuild our experience to be a base and to be basically the groundwork for all the future improvements that are coming. And so that release is also a statement and some kind of commitment on the fact that basically incremental and an incremental changes are as a non-stop flow of new improvement and changes will come to the page builder. And so it's just the first step. So we are going to release it in July. That's
So targeting an alpha for July.
And to our friends here who are watching us or will watch us afterwards, if you're a developer, I'm sure you chose Prismic for this because you wanted something that focuses on experience and simplicity. And here we're delivering to what we promised you, right? I know you've been patient, and we told you like this is coming, but here it is. Okay, now you can go to your content team and marketing team and tell them, you know what? Content management and building website and pages is going to be enjoyable. You're going to enjoy the process and have better results, but because you can iterate faster, you can see what's happening, and that's going to be cool. And if you are a marketing person or in the content team, well, there it is, right? And you wanted that, you needed that. We heard you through the research, and now we're very happy to get it into your hands. And it will be a few time, and you'll have this in your hands, and then you'll be able to do much better job than ever before, than anyone else, because you know what? CMSs has always been about technology and they've been about solutions and technical solutions, but we want to bring it to experience, as every other product that exists out there in the modern world. And we think we're getting there, and that's why it's an important release for us.
And basically we want to do the same thing that what we do with Slice Machine. Like in Slice Machine, we have overwhelming positive feedback on the fact that we are simplifying the developer experience, that we are like doing incremental changes that make sense, that provide value to all our users. It's no restraint to developer, but we had in mind the fact that basically those changes will also provide value for marketing teams over time, and so we took a bet on that front, and now basically we are going to work in the same fashion and the same way for the content teams.
And I think talking about Slice Machine as well, it's really cool now in the page builder, like surfacing the value proposition of slices, and for content teams, like unlocking their creativity in terms of all the different things they can do, looking at the variations, different slices, different compositions of their page. So I think it's really cool from that perspective as well.
Cool. Well, what we can do is we can welcome Jonathan and ask him from our preferred agency today, and we can ask him about how what is his think about the new editor, and they use Slice Machine already. So I guess it's. What do you think? You have something else to show?
No,
I
think it's good. Hello, Jonathan.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Really good, really good. So what did you think about what we just showed?
Well, I love it. I especially love the preview of the slices within the app, and also actually the AI approach. This is news for me actually. We also actually diving into this, like how to use AI, like how to use a story, and then actually make it available for other customers to be on brand throughout.
And you already use a Slice Machine to develop to this story, and we're going to go more into depth because I love the story that you have and how you help your clients, well, basically deliver their story and give them a framework that to continue on that story. But that's cool, and and I like how you're saying that this extends to this story, because when you deliver something, a project to them, right, a website project, you want them to continue with that kind of branding story, right, not to stop there, and this way they can be independent into developing this story that you started, right?
Yes. So if you have a good story, like a good manifest, that basically gives you guidelines throughout the whole. For the whole branding for all stakeholders, not only the client but also the designers working on it.
Yeah.
You can develop a really on-brand website, but also like extend it with the new slices, new elements later on.
So Jonathan, thank you for joining us. Can you maybe tell us a little bit more about yourself and your agency? Can you? Yeah.
Yes.
We got you right in the topic. Now let's do the proper introduction.
So my name is Johnny. I actually started as a designer like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, always with the aim to also being able to develop what I design. Back then it was like with iframes and tables. And now I'm at Crew. We are like a brand agency, is really design focused, trying to help clients with complicated products to communicate what they're actually doing in a really extraordinary way. And I'm here in charge basically for all the development and then trying to connect design and dev in a really smooth way without any blockers. So that's my role currently here.
It's cool. So you said you started as a creative developer, right? So and then you started seeing maybe problem, like is it right?
No, that's right. So what I started
Okay,
as a
tell me.
designer who wants to develop. So not a developer who wants to design. So therefore,
Okay.
you actually need that. That's why Prismic is so nice, right? Because you it makes it really easy to design really nice websites without a lot of development overhead.
So which technology did you start with? What time was it? Flash or HTML and CSS at the time?
Well, I actually started when there was Flash, but
Okay.
I think it was the end of it.
Like a lot of people, a lot of designers did the transition, like from designer to development, thanks or
Yeah.
because I don't know to Flash. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean we tell a lot of negative things about Flash, but guess what? It enabled so many people to get into trying more dynamic stuff, and I believe it got a lot of people excited about the web and that what the web could be, as a more animations, more visual, and all that, right?
Well, it was this way. Well, it was the only way to actually animate back then, right? I actually never learned it. I think it was right at the edge where it got killed and abandoned.
But I think it also framed the web in a way that was kind of complex, and maybe it connects to one of the problems that you had. Like when we were seeing Flash website at the time, it looked like video games, 3D, a lot of very, very, very complex stuff. And you told us like in the prep interview that basically one of the main challenges that you had was, okay, how can we operate the transition in the branding / print agency toward the web, because they don't know really what is the complexity and all. Can you maybe tell us a bit more about this challenge?
Yes. So as you said, we are basically a brand agency trying to create like really extraordinary designs, and those are kind of they're kind of hard to present in the web because of boundary blockers. Basically, you need to have a good tech stack to do so. Back then, there was a lot of PHP used, WordPress and so on. There was really limited. You have like a really slow website going on if you use some kind of animation, if you have to load a few more images, bad caching in place. That's why the whole headless topic, where you can choose your tech stack, where you can go on a performant code base, is getting really, really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is so I like this story because at some point you're like, okay, I don't want to use the kind of proprietary technology of any CMS, and you want to go like headless and use your stack and all of that. But then I felt that at some point we went a step back because of the experience, because these solutions started as developer solutions like headless, right? And then was like, okay, whoa, well, it was good that we solved this, but now we need to get back and solve the things for marketing and for the designers and all these other things. So, it's like the word goes into loops or something, I feel.
I agree. The interesting part is, since we have the slice machine now, and you can work in slices, but actually during the design process in the beginning, it's actually nice to forget about all the slices, because also those are limiting the designers actually in boxes, basically, right? Because actually the nice animations or the nice website, if you communicate a story on the website, they are getting created by actually connecting the slices with each other, right? So you have like some elements that go from one slice to another one. So it's nice to have a balance there.
Yeah, it's nice to have the balance always, right? So, okay, so you work on the story, the identity, and the product, right? Can you tell us more about
Yes.
this?
So we basically have like two main pillars. So we have the story, the identity, and the product, right? This is what you need to create a really future-proof and really good brand. The story is basically the menu that you create for every designer, every developer, every maybe even content marketer in the future. So they have like the same consistent wording, the same consistent imagery, and so on. The identity itself basically just, I mean, it's the color, the fonts, the images, right? And the product itself is like at the end, but still you have to look at it really early on, right? So how does the brand work in the product, right? Especially like how does the imagery work in the app? For example, you often cannot just add a whole new imagery to the app. How does the font actually go
Yeah.
into the app? And that's why the website is actually the really crucial point, because there all three pillars come together, right? You need to communicate the story on the website. You need to communicate the brand, like the visuals, but you also have the gateway to the product. And often,
Yeah.
like we are, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love how you look at this because it's so weird when you go to I'm sure everyone, like people in the chat, will relate to that. And please, this is the moment where you can tell us about your opinion and your experience with that. But so use your keyboards to tell us what you think about this idea. But here's the thing, how many times did you go to a website of a company and it was beautiful and all, and then you go to the product and like boom, and it looks like what happened, and you feel, and maybe it's not like it's ugly or anything, but just there is a huge switch in the experience and disconnect in the experience that makes you feel that, am I in the right place, or is it are they overselling me, or like what happened exactly there? Like this doesn't continue. And I like how you believe, like you say, it's a gateway to the product, or it's part of the product, even, you say, right?
Yes, so what is the biggest discussion that we actually have? Is the website part of the product, right? So where does the product start and where does it stop? Like Prismic, for example, is the product start when you log in, or when you already on the website itself, right? We are crew, we are unsure ourselves, but the fact is it should not be a hard cut, right? So if you log in or download the app, it should not be a fully different brand. It should be somehow feel the
Yeah.
same.
So I was having a discussion with Paul Campillo. He used to be the head of brand or director of brand at Typeform, and he's like then he moved to another very inspiring company. But anyway, and if you go to his LinkedIn, he would tell you what I believe is, and and then he says like the brand experience is the 5 X's, and then he says the marketing experience. Okay, that's an experience. That's the beginning of it. You're talking to a customer. How can you make something useful for them? How can you entertain them in that moment? And then he goes into like there is the sales experience, there is the product experience, there is the customer when they become your customer. Well, what is their experience with you when they are a customer? And there is he says the data experience. Like, okay, what about my data and all? But he says like, okay, it's a complete story, and you cannot just say, oh, I'm working on the brand, but it stops in the website or it stops in the story or in a what line. It's like the whole thing is the brand, is the 5 X's. I like how he explained it.
Yes, it's fully true. It's even, I mean, it goes even further, right? As soon as you have to contact the support somewhere,
Yeah, that's the brand
you
experience.
can have
right?
the worst brand experience all of a sudden, and then kill the whole brand you created before, no?
Absolutely. So yeah, you have.
Go.
So here we talked about the importance of website here, but there's also something like when you go into the project. Okay, like you talk about the story, and I believe in first the story. You cannot talk about identity without talking about the story, right? It's because we humans, we relate to stories. you know, and identity comes from a story, right? So I understand that first you need to understand what is the story. You go to the identity, you define the identity, the visual identity, all of that, and then you go to the website. And that's cool. But now imagine that we have a client. Okay, you have a client, a certain client, and you're going through that kind of work. You know, often when we contact branding agency, is like, okay, well, how much is going to cost, right? And often, like, since there is a lot of creative part into it, you how can we estimate the project? You know, how do you estimate the project? There is a lot of different things that are happening. There is the actual building of the website, but also there is the story and the branding. And I know you can tell us a little bit about, you know, the estimation and, you know, the
Yes.
budget.
Well, so basically how we do it is we have packages, right? So we don't charge an hourly rates or something. We have
Okay.
packages. So we have a package for the story, we have a package for the identity, and also then for the product and the further stuff that's gonna happen, right? So there are multiple touch points, not just the website in general. And it's specific for the website. We have like a small package, a bigger package, a middle package. It kind of depends on how complicated the website will be, how big the website will be, what features are there. Um, but what we did by now is that we actually have a modular or like a modular system where we can also adjust later on. What it means is like during the brand process in the beginning, there are often a lot of ideas coming up that the client likes or dislikes, and all of a sudden the project can become way more complicated on the website, way more complicated. So all of a sudden the designers introduce some WebGL
Yeah.
flying thing, and then you only calculated 20K in the beginning for the website, and all of a sudden everything crashes. No, so basically, as soon as we come to the wireframe phase, we also can still adjust and say, hey, if you want to make it really extraordinary, really special, there needs to be um,
Some extra
yeah,
cost.
some
But
extra.
yeah, but you know, okay, so you're making it more modular, that kind of phase of estimation. And I believe it's cool because, you know, transparency, there's nothing better than transparency, right? If you're faced with a system, then people can remove some stuff, add some stuff, and it's you basically saying to the client, it's your decision, and I'm very happy to help you, and it inspires us to help you with that. But we know that it takes more effort and time and creativity, and you know, that's why the price is higher.
Yes. So also like we also have a suggestion, right, to take the full package, of course, because the three pillars only work really perfect when they're together, right?
Of course.
So if you remove a product, for example, then you get a great branding, you get a great story, but how you actually use it, we don't know. Like there's room to failure, no?
Yeah. So I wonder, okay, so you go with the budget and that's it? Like it's a document that create like lines and numbers, or do you communicate if like more visual stuff to tell them, okay, this is what we think we can do for you, and that's the price, or these are the items. How do you present that to the client?
So in regards of the website, we basically make it depending on the modules, so on the slices. So I think we calculate around like 20 to 30 slices per website. And depending on like how complicated those slices are, or if you need more, then there's more time involved. So then it becomes more expensive, no? Also like multilingual. So it is feature depending, right? If you need a blog or not, if you have like some external CRM you need to connect. So those are the modular parts that can be added
Yeah.
to the website. Yeah.
And and is it concept that your customer are grasping easily, like the concept of slices and stuff like that, when you actually approach the budget discussion with them?
Yes, they do, but they're also always worried if 20 slices are enough, or 30 slices are enough. Reason
Okay.
being is they always want to have a lot of freedom. They want to be able to change everything at any time, but at the same time they don't want to have this, no.
Yeah.
So they also want to have boundaries
And
within their freedom that they get.
enough flexibility, but not too much. Like
Yeah. Well, they don't want to break anything, no?
Yeah, exactly. They want to keep their branding and they want to be able to ensure that the website will scale, but at the same time, like composing pages as much as possible and like removing some of the friction and blocking point that they might have when building a page, basically.
Yes.
As you said, limited freedom. That's
Yes, limited
Nice
freedom.
balance.
I fully agree. Like a good example are those homepage builders, right? That are out there where you can change everything at any time, and as soon as you don't understand what a margin or a padding is, and you move it too far to the right, it breaks. It's not on brand anymore, and so it needs to be limited so it can always be on brand.
Yeah, and it's not only about being on brand, I feel. It's more productive.
Yeah.
It's like doing more with less. It's like if you have too many options, then you will stare at things. It's like, okay, well, that sounds like a mountain to do, right? Whereas when you have like the right level of freedom, and please don't give me more because I don't want more. I want to get into trying stuff, have enough liberty into my like creativity, but not too much because it doesn't add more value, more flexibility at that point.
Yes, one point to that is actually at Prismic you offer to add like color pickers, right, as a type, as an input type.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we usually like you can also add variants, right? So if you want to have an changeable background color and a changeable font color, you can use it. You can use color pickers, right, to give them as much freedom as they want. But actually, they don't want this. They just want to have two slices with like blue background and yellow background, and that's
Exactly.
it.
Themes is better, right?
Yes.
You give just a theme, like you have, and themes that have colors, maybe different other properties, but they're all linked together into something that looks beautiful and looks consistent and to the brand. And I'd rather, I saw a lot of agencies actually more using either variations or themes, as in they link from the slice to a theme. And then in the code, you say, okay, I'm going to style it with that theme or with that different theme. It could be dark and not dark, or it could be, you can call them in different names, right? But that's better because, okay, you trust the designer that they did a good job of consistency, and then you just choose that. I agree. We had an internal conversation about this kind of use of colors and all, and I believe that, yeah.
Yes, I agree. It's getting even worse. Like if you onboard a new designer or like a new content manager, they have actually the possibility to add any color, no? So you
Yeah.
can really,
Ooh.
they can become creative even though they shouldn't get creative at this point of time.
Yeah.
Do you think that this approach is basically suited for all customer, or like do you have a favorite kind of customer, like a sweet spot in terms of customer that you are addressing when trying to sell this approach?
You mean in regards of this limited freedom?
Limited freedom, like the technology, the actual process that you told us about around like bringing the branding to the website, and how the website is kind of central in the branding for companies.
So we mainly focus on like companies that are on the edge to transform a specific market, right? So mostly they have more complicated products. Like in manufacturing, for example, that are hard to understand, and giving them a way to like communicate on a website really easily. AI is also like a big topic there, and also fintech. We have a lot of experience.
Cool.
But yeah, they actually have the same issues. Like they don't want to. It's not that one person wants to have like a fully fledged adjustable website, and the other one don't. They want to have like be limited in what they're doing, actually.
Yeah. And actually, Tim Burley is telling us, like, giving clients the ability to select colors sounds like an accessibility nightmare. Yeah, this is one of the things, right?
This is
Because like and that's there's a lot of people out there that are professional and experienced into that, and you cannot just theming seems better. Theming seems better.
But the funny thing is, if you talk a bit in the beginning with the client, they tell you they want to have this freedom. They want to be able to change as much as they can. And just in the process, they realize, oh, now I have to add the color for each slice. I don't even know the hex code. And then I just want to have a variation, no? So they just realize this in the process.
But it's good. It's a learning curve. And basically, maybe we can also share. There is an article that we wrote about how, related to that, how much should you charge for to a website. I hope the team will throw the link into the chat if we haven't already. And if you, Renaud, don't have any further questions, or Jonathan, no further comments on this, do you?
No.
I would like to move on how you optimize your process internally to kind of give more value with by optimizing your processes. So I believe that one of the things to be a successful agency is to give a lot of value out of the budget that they give you. But that means that you need to optimize internally how you build stuff so that you can give them a lot of value, but that you can deliver with be the most maybe budget efficient, right? So can you tell us
Yes.
about your processes internally, how you optimize that?
Yes. So what one big issue is on the website development or design is the timeline, no? So basically, design needs to work in the beginning, and then all of a sudden, they give you a final approved website, and the devs need to start to work. So the designers itself, they need, I don't know, 5-6 weeks to fully with iteration with the client to create those designs, and then the dev needs, I don't know, 3 more weeks to build this. But everyone is talking about agile and how they can like work together. But actually, in this approach, if you approve the whole website at some point and then give it to the devs, you waste a lot of time and it's not agile at all, right? So what we are basically doing is, so here's the screen for all the iterations in the beginning. It is even before the website. So this is still in the corporate identity where we create multiple routes and then define one route at a certain point, more of the client. And as soon as we have this round, we can start with the wireframes, right? So we basically create the wireframes for the clients then, which is also, so the stories are already done. So it's not about like, oh, where do we need to put which section? We already know kind of what we want to communicate. We already kind of know the tone of voice and can actually really in detail already plan the website. At this point, also the devs already come in, right? So for example, on this website, there is, so it's a stage and a cube. If I see this as a developer, I already get goosebumps about how to build this. I don't know, like I know the client, they do like packaging, so a lot of 3D stuff, but in my brain it's like, just how do I do 3D stuff in Prismic so a content manager can upload the 3D object in a smart way with having high quality textures and lighting and everything in place. So this is why also the devs already need to come in at this place, right? Even like looking into if this is possible, if not, does this change the price of the website? And if we can even suggest this to the client, because as soon as we show this to the client, they're gonna love it. If they say they want to have this, like, but it's not possible, we get into an issue. So basically, we have then, if this is approved, the dev voice, we create the wireframes step by step for each page, for each slice also. And then we start with the actual designing those wireframes. Let me jump really fast into this view. So this is basically the final design that was also developed at the end. So you see the stage with the flying objects here, you see the quote, some logos, clients that you already had, services. And now the issue is, do we wait till everything is approved until we start developing, or can we already start developing before everything is approved? So can we actually make the design workflow and the dev workflow in the parallel? And this does not work if we go page by page. It only works if we actually go slice by slice, because there is often a long discussion about the homepage, because this is main messaging stepping on the homepage, no? But other pages like some services, they get approved way earlier. So we can already start with those slices. And they still design that. Key for this is that the actual corporate identity is already done. So they should not start like changing the color pattern again, but actually having the core done, but not the actual slices. And how we usually start then as a developer, so we get I surely jump to another project because that's quite nice. So we get a handover of the basic tokens. I think it's common known in the design system. It's
Yeah.
a really small one because on a website you don't need so many elements. And we already start designing those. So for this point, we don't need any backend. We don't need any, we just need frontend.
Okay.
So you can make this in CSS only. And if you even use Tailwind or any other framework, it's maybe even faster and scalable. And then we get, as you can see here, like step by step, certain slices approved. So the devs, they already start on those slices and they ignore the rest. And then it's basically like a puzzle, no? They put together. And if we build those slices, there are also two steps. We only build, we always build the backend first. So we actually were thinking about, like I was about like building even the Figma plugin, because what happens here is if you look at a slice like this, what you do, you as a dev, you check, okay, this is going to be a title, this is going to be a text. Then you have a background color picker. At this point, it was still a picker and a background image. But actually, this can already be defined by the designer. And since we have the slice machine and it's all JSON based, you could actually quite easily define it here in Figma and export the JSON. So you actually just have the files in the code editor, and you start up your slice machine.
Yeah, Jonathan, you're ahead of us. You're ahead of us.
Oh.
Anyway, or maybe you're guessing what we're doing, or there's something there.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's a cool idea, and we're going to look into that. But you're right. That kind of process from Figma to Slice Machine, because we a lot of work we did in Slice Machine to make it connect more to the design, right? With the breaking things into slices and make them as a concept in Prismic and all of that. And now it starts making sense, and it's like, well, okay, well, how about I can define them right from where I am, and I'm working in Figma, and I guess it makes a lot of sense, and we're going to look into that.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense because you don't have to switch the tools, no? And even like if you think about like how designer can work in a dev environment, they don't want to run up with the slice machine and the terminal, right? So you still need a dev to do this. But if you combine this even easier, the designers also could do this actually.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's very cool. So okay, and then you define the slice. Well, I understand it's a little bit repetitive work here because you already have them defined, but then you define it and then you start the dev work, right? The slice.
Yes. So then we start the dev work. For that, we actually we built our own like template. It's a little bit work in progress because I think we built it like a year ago or 1.5 years ago when the slice machine was not available yet. So there's a lot of happening there. But we basically have the basic the basics setup, the stuff that takes a lot. So we have like the scaffold theme. We have like the main custom types that are always needed in every project. Almost every project already defined. So we have the block, the categories, the blog post case. We have drop downs. Like every project needs a drop down. So this is already the whole backend structure is already set up there. So you don't have to do this. On top, we all need to define the SEO stuff. So this is also included already in there. So I believe there's some SEO defined somewhere here. But at the end of the day, we just paste it here.
But do you think it's a good idea to define some slices that you believe that always are going to be part of websites and, have them in this framework?
I think yes, but I think it's really hard to do this for multiple clients. So there are slices that are reused quite often. So every website probably has an accordion or a contact form.
Yeah,
So you can reuse those. But other slices, if you want to, like if you're a client and you want to have your own branded experience, you don't want to have this page builder look, right? You don't want to go
of
to
course.
WordPress Elementor and reuse the same boxes. You want to have your own slices. So it's kind of hard to reuse them blindly and have like this, I pick and choose. However, you can, and we still do this, like we reuse slices from other projects because the skeleton is the same, right? The
Yeah,
accordion doesn't change.
exactly. Like it's more, yeah. When I imagine in this kind of context, when I imagine the slides, I imagine it as the content that it contains instead of like the style that it had, like no divs, nothing. Just you have the content pieces in there, so you don't have to do the wiring at all. But you just throw this in, and maybe you add a few fields to it or remove a few fields, and then you say, okay, now let me style this the way I want to style it, like in that kind of style.
Yes, so this we basically have, no? Like we also in the wireframing phase, we already use often slices we used before, because we know that those we can kind of reuse quite easily. Yeah.
Yeah. I have Patty who's saying we don't have templates as our client wants every slice to work across documents to different combos of slices. Well, I feel that before I had the concept. Remember we discussed a lot of these that I thought like we build certain slices for a certain page and certain other slices for another type of page, and I had this kind of concept, and then you challenged me on that a little bit, like maybe not, like maybe we just like have a bunch of slices, and then people will combine them in different pages the way they want, and you don't categorize them. Okay, these slices are only for that, and the others are only for this different page, right? Do you have a similar observation? Do you think that slices can be used across pages in a way?
Yes, so we usually, so one, so our client always said, 20 slices enough, or 30 slices enough. And then we tell them, oh, you can use them in all pages. So if you want to use a landing page, you can reuse them there. So you can build as many pages as you want.
Cool.
There are some points where it does not make sense. For example, the blog. So
Oh
often we
yeah.
have the experience where they want to have all the slices available in the blog, but at the end of the
Mm.
day, they never used it. They just use the rich text and have some basic blog functionality. Yeah.
Nice, nice. So I love this idea of first the boilerplate that you showed, so that you can start quickly and not reinvent the wheel every single time. This allows you to optimize a lot of your time.
From wireframe to dev, like it's not only in dev, like it's actually
Yeah,
also
also
in Figma and
yeah, in
wireframe.
Figma as well. Yeah, that's really cool. I believe that this doesn't stop you from making completely unique uh, brand and visual identity for clients, because it's just it's just that the boilerplate is like you're going to completely restyle it, right?
Yes, so that's why it's just a skeleton, no? So because
It's
you
just
don't
a
want to build
skeleton,
anything.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't want to build anything in the design. Okay, well that's really cool. Well, I would like to kind of maybe focus now, maybe at the end as at just who you are as an agency, and who you target as clients, and you know who are the people, and then we can maybe focus a little bit on yeah, what kind of clients you target, and what are the selling points that you have for them.
So we target mainly clients that need the whole brand refresh, right? So the whole a new story they want to tell, a new corporate identity, and also then the different touch points. No matter if it's a website, if it's a wayfinding system in a campus, or is it print. It really doesn't really matter at this point. But what we really like is to solve complicated products. G2K, for example, as you can see here, it's like they have some AI to analyze image, like photos, video on this, like, and then find information about it, which is kind of hard to explain in a B2B environment. Same, some manufacturing companies which do quite interesting stuff, but it's really a complicated product to understand in general.
Okay, so you like the challenge of telling the story of these companies, of finding a simpler
Yes.
way to tell their story. I like it.
Yes.
Cool.
It reminds me like the challenge that we had and that we discussed a few meetups ago around Verif and how to explain basically some kind
Yeah.
of how do you explain and how do you create a brand around like some kind of safety startup that basically absolutely everyone is using without even knowing that they are using
They
it.
exist, and how can you make an identity out there? Yeah. Well, I like the challenge. Like, okay, you take
That's good.
something like that seems very complicated. And say, okay, how can I present it to their public in a way that they can simply understand it and relate to it? That's cool. And what about like technology? Like your clients, where do they come from? Like, is it like in their stack, in the technology, and the CMS they use?
Well, they usually, most of, like all the clients that we actually have are JavaScript based, so they mainly use like React or Vue. I think most actually use React in their tech stack, but it doesn't really matter for the website as long as it's not 100% involved in like part of the product, which is again like the interesting point. Like if the product itself is a different identity than the actual website, no. But in general, like they are really upfront and open for new technology, and yeah, want to be don't want to like use old technology in general.
So what in like imagine, do you have clients that come from like, I don't know, let's talk about some popular platforms like WordPress or Webflow, and if they come with that, what are the selling points that you have for them?
So since we are not a website first agency, but we actually do brand, they don't come just because of the website, right? They want to have a brand experience. However, we don't use WordPress because of many reasons. And most of them don't mind switching since they trust us. What is kind of hard for them to understand is like the setup of a headless CMS in general, like that they are you need to, like the code is, the hosting is a bit different. And we always have to show them Prismic also. They want to see it first. But as soon as they see it, just the dashboard, and they only have 2 buttons on the left instead of like hundreds, like on WordPress, they're mostly already sold. Because it's way easier to understand and click through it, no? There are a few other points like that you don't need to care about the updates, right? So if you want to update WordPress, you need to call a developer because otherwise everything can break. That is multilingual at default, which is like super nice. You don't need a plugin for this. In general, you don't have this plugin jungle where you need to be careful that you get hacked or something. So actually, as soon as they understand it, it's quite easy for them to do the switch. No?
Cool. Okay, and that's we talked about WordPress, but like for instance, do you have people that come from Webflow, for instance? It's like I guess this has an offering of something more visual, and you can do a lot with the the visual interface. How would you tell them? Okay, well, let's go to Jamstack and all of that. That seems like a hard sell, isn't it?
Yeah, so Webflow is kind of tough in general, but what they do, like what a good selling point there still is, they give you this unlimited freedom, right? You can do everything there, and you need, it doesn't like, if you don't understand coding language, CSS, not in depth coding, but margin padding, if you don't know what it is, it also doesn't help you to have a UI where you can edit, right? Because you just don't know what's going to happen if you do it. So they want to stay on brand. They don't want to break something if they upload an image or switch the class somewhere. It's just not user friendly for someone who does not have any coding experience. No.
Yeah, design is hard.
Design and coding experience. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's complicated.
And design is hard. Like, okay, we talk about CSS and all that. I don't believe that it's the hardest part. The hardest part is like, and it took me a long time, like padding, and and what does it mean, padding, exactly in a design? Like, okay, you want more space, but that needs to be consistent. If it's padding, it needs to be consistent with the other elements. Otherwise, things will look odd in a certain way, right? And that knowledge about the padding is very important. Even if you have the tools to be able to change things without CSS, these concepts of what padding and spacing and all these kind of things is very important.
Fully agree. It goes even one step further, that you can change the classes there, right? You need to understand what a class is. And if a content manager needs to understand what a class is, I think it's missing the point of having an easy CMS where you just need to drop your content and everything looks how you want to have it now.
Yeah, more is less, and that's what we believe in. Absolutely.
Less is more.
Sorry?
Less is more. More is less.
Well, you can say it both ways. You know? More, as again, giving more options is going to kind of be as if you have less, because it's, you know, intimidating, and you're going to break things, and then you say, okay, well, I don't know how to function with this, and I will do less of it. Or you give them less, and that will allow them to do more, because they can combine these few elements in a lot of different ways, and it will help them be very creative.
And as a team, it gives you trust also in the fact that the other people on your team or the new onboardee will not break your brand, break your website, basically.
Yeah,
It's
it will always be consistent. It will always deliver to the story. That's cool. Jonathan, it was great chatting with you. And it's cool that you take a lot of value out of Slice Machine. I'm very happy about that, because, you know, this is the reason why we build these things. We want people like yourselves and the people that we have in chat to make business and create value for the clients out of this, and you know, we want everyone to enjoy this process. So I'm very happy that you brought us lessons, and we are going to learn from that, and we're distributing them to also our community, so that everyone profits from that. But also maybe we'll learn, I'm sure we learned a few things out of that for our own product that we're going to develop for you. So thank you for being so generous to share all these elements, and I'm sure everyone enjoyed that.
Yep. Thanks a lot.
And
Well,
keep
thank
doing
you
the
for
great job.
inviting me. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So now, what is it? Like, we go for QA, or did we have another section? I you know, I'm not following here.
I think we covered most of the things that we wanted to cover today. There is a few things that we can do. We can take some of the questions that we might have in the chat, or that people are basically willing to ask us now on either Jonathan intervention or on the reveal that we had at the beginning of the.
Oh, a lot of people ask questions about the builder, and I am very happy that Alex is here to ask. He answered a lot of them. You know, it's cool discussions I was following on this in the same time.
But we do have.
You have even future questions, like what is the difference between pages and custom types in the new Slice Machine?
Yeah,
because you released that? No, you didn't.
The first version, yeah.
When was that?
2 days ago, 3 days ago.
Okay, I didn't know. Cool, it's cool. Okay, so what do you think? Okay, so
I think we can take a few questions, but we have any way to wrap in 10 minutes max, because we have 6 minutes max. Because we have a follow-up live event on YouTube where Angelo, 7 minutes, okay, where Angelo is going to present news and a release related to the support of the app router in Next 13. So that's something that if you're into Next and you're looking to basically use the app folder, I said app router, app folder, you might want to look at. So it's going live right away just after the meetup. So at 7:30, basically you'll have this presentation. So we have a deadline. We are on the schedule basically, but we can take some questions for sure.
So okay, there is a question here from Ben, who says, Ben Jackson says, is this self-hosted or part of Prismic dashboard UI? Okay,
so this new page builder is basically in the Prismic UI. So you'll access basically this new interface when accessing to your repo. So again, like if you're interested, you can join the waitlist on the link that was pasted in the chat. We'll open this gradually to users. It's going to be an alpha at the beginning, so like a few features will be missing, but like the goal is that we are going to build on that. So it's basically the future of Prismic. and it's going to be rolled out to everyone in their repo, most likely before the end of the year. But we are going to gradually implement new changes, new feature, new exciting stuff for everyone in Prismic. The only part that you'll have to self-host is basically the simulator. So the page/part of the software that allow us to render in real time those slices the way you saw it. But it's just actually deploying a page and deploying a route, and that's it.
In your website, so you deploy the website anyway. You probably deploy it on Vercel or Netlify or somewhere else.
You probably, if you're using Size Machine and use the simulator, you probably deployed it in production on your website.
And if you did, it's just opening this route, and that's it from your side, and then we take care of everything. So I have a question more from. So I would like to be able to pronounce it well. I guess Nguyen. So do I need? I'm sorry for the pronunciation again. So do I need to rebrand? It's more about the kind of for Jonathan, I guess, but we're going to try to answer it here. So do I need to rebrand when transforming from freelance to a team like agency or studio? Like, do I absolutely have to go through a rebrand if I want to stop working for a freelancer and go work for an agency? I believe it's a choice, right? I believe it's good because if you're moving from if you're taking like your website more seriously, then you probably want to have an identity to it, and depends on what are your goals, why you're changing. If you think that you need to focus more on the website, I believe if you're focusing more on the website, you need to get some kind of one story or one identity in there, and that's good to go for a rebrand, I believe. And we have actually a meeting that Meetup where we talked about when is the right time to do a visual rebrand. I remember that we did that, and maybe you can check it up in YouTube, and maybe we can drop you a link about it. But you go ahead. You wanted to answer?
No, I was like maybe question. If I have some more question on the question. Is the question around the fact that you're a freelancer and basically you're growing your activity and then you're turning into a studio? So should you rebrand? Is that the way you understand the question?
No, I believe it's more. I'm a client. I mean, like, I'm the client of a freelancer. I want to transform into an agency, and if I work with the agency, should I absolutely rebrand?
I think
I believe, but I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. Let's get clarification here.
So if it's, I guess you provided a good answer for your interpretation of the question. I would say for my interpretation of the question, we see that as a common pattern. So and also we had a meetup, by the way, with Skyward on a freelancer that basically turned into a studio because getting more and more requests from customer, and so he actually chose to rebrand in order to not only be an individual freelancer but actually a studio and an agency to be more serious, and so also explain to his customer and that at the time that it was changing and that it might not be the only one actually working on the project. And it's a common pattern. Our branding agency started, I guess, being a freelancer and then grew into a studio. We know that was a huge agency at the time, started as a freelancer that then became an agency. So I think it's a fairly common pattern, yes, to rebrand as soon as you grow and you engage more people to basically become a studio. So without clarification, we have two answers to two interpretations of the question.
We did answer in one way or another.
We have 2 minutes.
So I think that's it for the questions. It's great that I'm very happy about this meetup and this announcement. I believe that it's a great step at making building websites more enjoyable, basically. Check out the landing page that we threw, and we have a few things about it. And then I believe that you are going to enjoy this release, and guess what? Stay around for the next live that is going to come, which is about the
Next 13 app
Next
router
13,
demo.
Yeah, app router
And support with Prismic, basically.
and support with Prismic. So stay around.
It's now, right? Like in a minute.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Stay
you.
around. Bye bye.
get down in the sorrow. How can I make the things better? Sun must shine tomorrow. Music, 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 music is the answer. It makes you groove the